Thanks for watching News Center Maine Plus. I'm Brian Yacono. There are a lot of Maine candidates in the running for political office in 2026. Our team will be interviewing them one-on-one and posting them right here for you to watch in full. This is an effort to keep our community informed before you cast your ballot.
Troy Jackson, thanks for sitting down with us.
Sounds good.
A lot of Mainers have mainly seen you over the last 10 or 20 years in a suit, wielding a gavel, state senate president, legislator. But that's not really who you are. Your background is as a logger, and you've talked about that in emotional terms. How is it relevant to the race now for governor?
Well, I think it shows that I'm an everyday working class person. I mean, I get into politics because of logging, because of, my working class roots, and, it prompted me to run for the legislature to try and solve some of the issues I saw that were unfair about the way things were going here in Maine. And, I tried to change, some of that unfairness in my time in Maine politics. And, I'm still really trying to do that same thing today. I mean, I'm trying to bring fairness to working class people that I don't think that a lot of people in government understand.
What was the job, when you say logger, what was it mostly that you did and for how many years?
Yeah, well, I started in the period where, men were still using chainsaws and cable skidders, but they were transitioning to what we call mechanical harvesting, where, you were using fellow bunchers, delimmers, grapple skidders. I mean, I was right in that period where it went, like I said, from chainsaws over to mechanical. Most of my life, I ran a delimmer. Would strip the bark, the limbs and things like that off. Did both, but most of it was mechanical, and you'd be in the woods all week running a piece of equipment like that.
Dangerous work.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly grew up knowing, stories of, people that left and didn't come home at night. Unfortunately, I knew a woman in St. Francis that lost 2 husbands to logging accidents. It used to be, unfortunately, pretty common to have people get killed in the woods. It's not as common now, mechanical, but it still happens, and it's a hard job. I mean, it's long hours, it's stressful. It's not the easiest occupation. Your
father did it, his father, and his father, and his father. Did you ever consider anything else for work when you were a younger man?
Well, my dad didn't want me to work in the woods, and so I certainly thought about different things, thought about going to college early, but, growing up, it was probably easier to get into that, to make money early, and if you wanted to stay in the area that I lived in, it was probably the easiest choice to make, because, right out of high school, I could just jump into a truck or a piece of equipment and start working, and that's what I chose to do.
What did you learn from not just your experience, but your father's experience? You told a story on Labor Day about sort of a dressing down he got when you were 8 from his boss. What did you learn about work with dignity from your dad and from what you went through?
I learned growing up that you don't get out of line. When things get tough, you just shut your mouth and try and work through it and maybe work harder. I think that's the unfortunate thing about my area, or maybe even across Maine. I think people work extremely hard and try and make up for inequities in the system. People work Saturdays, they work Sundays, they work long hours. I mean, we joke a lot about there's no more hours in a day, there's no more days in a week. People put the time in, and it's not to our benefit. And that's kind of what I learned, is that, instead of saying, well, no, this is not right, it's not fair, people put more time, more effort in, and eventually, we just run out of time. And now you hear that a lot from people. It's like they're not asking for more money, they're asking for more opportunity with their family, more opportunity to spend, in their life, because they don't get that back. Time is finite, and that really sucks.
Is that one of the reasons why you're so pro-union? And of course, a number of unions in Maine are supporting your candidacy.
Yeah, I mean, pro-union or, pro-worker, whatever it is, I just think that, people should have the right dignity in being able to, have a fair day's pay for a fair day, and that means being able to spend, time with your family. Obviously, if you want to work a lot of hours, that's up to you, but you shouldn't be put in a position where you have to work a lot of hours.
You've talked about some of the big things that were accomplished when you were state Senate president. There's mostly during the Mills administration, frankly. So I think there's shared credit in the accomplishments,
Yep.
if you call them accomplishments. You've talked about free lunch, keeping veterans' homes open. We now have paid medical leave in Maine. We have laws that a lot of other states don't have, protecting reproductive rights. What do you consider your best accomplishment or accomplishments as a state senator and Senate president?
I definitely think the school meals program that I sponsored and got passed, was, something that I'm very proud of. But I also think that the child care laws that we, sponsored and got passed is, really great too. People came together on that, the Chamber of Commerce, unions, workers, everyone realized how important, all that was to help. And on the universal school meals, you had, teachers and, parents, everyone, and like in my area, kids go to school, they get on the bus at 6 o'clock, they don't get back till like 4:30 in the afternoon. In no world would you have somebody go to work for you and expect them to not eat for like 10 and a half hours a day, and that's what some kids were actually doing. And, how would you, expect them to be productive where they were hungry for 10 and a half hours a day? And so, that really, is something I'm obviously very proud of. And we want to keep going. But there was a lot of things, that we worked on, even under Governor LePage. We did get one prescription drug bill passed that he didn't sign, but he let go through. We had a bunch of bills that unfortunately didn't get signed under Governor Mills, 4 prescription drugs that I, really want. There's a lot that we could accomplish, but those are the things that we did get passed. Some labor bills, but the ones that are most, are the universal school meals and the child care.
You've also talked about how at times you were sort of hushed, told to wait. Now's not the time, go smaller. What are some of those key items of unfinished business that you would hope to tackle returning to Augusta?
Yeah, well, like I said, those prescription drug bills are something that I feel very strongly that, Washington's never going to do. I just think that's a place that doesn't function well and probably is not going to, and it's up to states to take on those big issues.
Well, let me interrupt you there, because Washington has talked about a couple of things like importing drugs from Canada. They've talked about giving Medicaid and Medicare services the power to negotiate collectively for everyone as 2 ideas that would lower prices for everyone. Isn't that Washington doing something? What else can you do at the Maine state level?
They've talked about it, but they haven't done it, and that's exactly the point. Big Pharma has their talons in there more than they do in the state of Maine. Although whenever Maine starts talking about that, or any other state, Big Pharma descends onto the state just as bad. But the only thing is they can buy me, and we will pass legislation like that if I'm governor. I don't believe anyone else in this race will sign legislation like that. But I've passed those bills. I've passed them bipartisanly, and if I'm governor, I'll sign those bills, and we will pass them because I know the value of them. In the past, I've been told that they're too big ideas, that Big Pharma is going to sue us, and yes, Big Pharma will sue. Because that is their business model. they're always going to sue us, but it's incumbent on us to take them on, and that is how we'll beat them, is by taking them on. If we're going to sit back and let Big Pharma threaten us that they're going to sue us, then we're always going to lose. The key is to take them on and beat them, and they'll crumble, because we are on the right side of this. You know, they can't say that their drugs are better than what we're getting in Canada or getting in Australia or getting in Great Britain. I mean, these are the same medications that are going to those people in those countries, and you know, we'll take them on and we'll win, but we have to take them on. You know, and other things like non-compete clauses in here in Maine, where people are told that they can't say anything against their employers if they leave. These are all things that, you know, the industry is worried that I'm going to be governor and go up against them. It's not my intention, but I think we have to have a fair system here. Our electricity rates are going out of control. You know, we have to provide fair electric rates and things like that. And the status quo, like I keep saying, is not worked. It never has, and we need to do things differently, and they don't like that. They like it the way it is. I'm going to change it.
So you would just block, for instance, Central Maine Power from proposed rate hikes when they want to build all this new infrastructure and do storm recovery in a better way?
I think we can do storm recovery in a better way, working together. I think whenever they talk about, you know, tree trimming and things like that, I think we can work together as a state, because some of these things are actually things that the state needs to do anyways. Let's partner together on trying to widen out right-of-ways and things like that for roads, because the state needs to have these right-of-ways widened out for road salt, for visibility and things and stuff like that. Let's partner together, CMP, Versant and stuff like that, and find out where these areas are, and let's do them together so that it doesn't just cost CMP, you know, the cost, and the times whenever they want to, you know, build corridors and stuff like that, we can use the state's buying power to buy the equipment and things like that that they need to put the corridors in and lower their costs. They don't need to be putting $180 million into Wall Street in profits every year on the backs of ratepayers. They do not. You know, that is something I feel very strongly about. But the state can save them money, but they don't need to be putting that type of profits into Wall Street investors.
When we talk about the affordability crisis, it has so many facets. I just want to bring up one more, which is childcare, which is a double whammy because of the cost. You have two earner families that see one of those incomes almost go entirely, in many cases, to childcare, or someone drops out of the workforce because of that fact, and they just decide to do it themselves. So under your watch, the state of Maine already passed a $200 a month stipend for child care workers so they get paid more, and there's a way that people get a credit that goes directly to the providers as well to lower their bill, right? But you want to do a lot more. You're talking about first year free and then capping the bill at 7% of someone's income. That's pretty bold, but I'm guessing pretty expensive. So how's that going to work?
Well, I mean, I think right now, once again, I think child care is still too expensive, and I think that child care facilities are still not making enough money and are still challenged by it. So I think that the state can invest even more into that, so that more people are out into the workforce, because we need them. And if the state invests that extra money, which, you know, we can do, I mean, it's obviously going to cost state money, but we've already shown that it works. It puts more people into the economy, and if we do that, I think it's better for all of us. And we have to pay those. I mean, my idea always was that the people that are working in childcare need to be treated like the professionals they are. And to keep them in the child care realm. And that's what I intend on doing. And, you know, we can find the money to do that. We did with the original intent. It didn't cost us as much as people thought it would. And I just feel strongly about this.
You said today in your remarks introducing your economic plan that the government has left us behind and the status quo isn't working. I think maybe a lot of people in the electorate maybe feel that way. but you're in a very crowded primary field with several other people who have a lot of experience in public office like you do. Why are you the best candidate to address that status quo and to lead this state in the next 4 years?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to say I'm not the status quo, but at the same time, I'm the one with the most experience. And I get that, you know, but I am. I'm the one that's been in government by far the most. You know, I spent 20 years. I mean, I've been through Governor LePage's term. I've been through Governor Baldacci and Governor Mills. I've had the most bills by far of anyone in the entire history of Maine vetoed by all three of them. Why I'm the one that is because I'm the only one in this race that actually comes from a working class background. I come from the second CD. You know, we're always, you know, kind of looked down upon. And I understand why people are frustrated. I mean, I get it. I think that they don't understand the urgency. They're good people. I'm not, you know, downplaying that they're not good people or anything like that. But I don't think they understand why people are frustrated with government because, you know, they haven't struggled like the rest of us. They don't know why people are struggling with health care. They don't know why people are struggling to put oil in the tank, why they're struggling to find good jobs, find their health care. I mean, these are all things that I know. I mean, you know, up until a couple months ago, you know, after I got out of the legislature, I didn't have health insurance. And all the time that I wasn't in the legislature, I didn't have health insurance as a working logger. I don't think they understand that, you know, and good on them. Good on anyone that's never had to struggle with health insurance or anything like that. That's how it should be for all of us. And that's exactly what I'm arguing that we should be fighting for in this government is more opportunity for people to have quality, affordable health care and insurance and good jobs and things like that. But I just don't think they get the urgency because for what time they've spent in there, that's not what they've been working on. I mean, I've had 5 bills vetoed on prescription drug coverage because that is what I care about, you know, and that's what I'm going to fight for if I'm governor. I mean, and things like that. You know, the other things that, you know, they care about are important, I get it, but there's nothing more important to me than fighting for the affordability issues of Mainers because that is what people go to bed at night worried about, and that's what they get up in the morning worried about. And until we solve that, you know, people are going to be angry and frustrated and in crisis, and I just can't imagine doing anything more than that to help them right now.
Troy Jackson, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck with the campaign.
Thank you.